What's up guys, my name is Zach, and today, hopefully by the end of this video, the car will at least turn over. Now it's not going to be drivable, we still have to do a little bit of intake. I have to get a different air filter. We still have to do the radiator. I'm not sure if we'll get to the radiator, but we can still run it without coolant, just not for a long time. And of course exhaust, and then I do have to go get it re-registered and reinsured. But we should turn it over tonight at least. That's at least the plan. So before we do that, I am using SAE 2050 racing fuel Valvoline, or I was recommended castor oil, but the shop didn't have it. So I'm running Valvoline, and I got 2 of them because right after we drive the car for a little bit, we're going to drive around the neighborhood. Of course, I'll film that. We're going to pull it back into the garage and do an immediate oil change. That's for anything that might have crawled inside the motor and died, like a spider or fly or whatever, any dust in there. And I also got a new filter, so all that stuff will be collected and won't keep going in the engine. It's a good idea to do that after an engine's been sitting. We do have to fill up the trans, and for that I'm using 75 W90 gear oil, 2 quarts of this, and then power steering fluid. That's because we capped off the power steering. It never had power steering, but it wasn't capped off properly, so we're going to add some fluid to that. So let's get into it. One more thing is I did get spark plugs, Ngk. You guys know the business with that. They are Rotary spark plugs. Ngk, recommend them. Huge shout out to Atkins Rotary for sending me an oil cap. That thing is going to look awesome in the engine bay. So we spent pretty much the whole night trying to crank the engine over, and it just didn't want to start. It has good compression, which is key, which pretty much, if you don't have compression, your engine is dead. You're done. But it has good compression. All the apex seals are good. It's getting fuel. 99.99% sure it's getting spark, because we tested it outside of the car. So I guess we're gonna be back at it tomorrow, but I guess we'll just have to see. We'll get it going though. We'll get it going. I guess we'll find out. Alright, so it's been almost 2 weeks really since I've touched the car. That's just because I flew out to North Carolina for a while to surprise my girlfriend and see an old friend, and then just scheduling conflicts between me and Adam. But today, hopefully the plan is to take a look at why the engine isn't holding an idle. I think it's something with the injectors, timing, or vacuum lines. So we got some starter fluid that we're going to spray around the vacuum lines, and if the engine speeds up, then we know that there's a vacuum leak. I also got new seals for the injectors from Atkins, which I had new seals except for one of the injectors. I made radiator lines or radiator piping, so that's done. Power steering's blocked off. I have to finish the bracket for the trailing coils, but the leading coils are mounted. But yeah, we're just mainly going to try to see if we can actually get it to fully kick over and idle. That's the goal. So Adam should be coming here soon, and we'll get back to it. Do it again. situation update. The car runs. It runs, but it keeps switching between running on 2 rotors and then 1 rotor, 2 rotors, 1 rotor. So it's not running great, but it runs. And we use the compression tester, and it has 100 PSI in each rotor. So it has compression, which is, again, key. But as you can see, it did turn over, which is awesome. So we had to call it quits today. Basically what we're doing is we're waiting on a new front pulley because my timing marks are so old and worn down that it's hard to time the car. And also a barometric pressure regulator something. Basically something that the car will sense if you're up in the mountains, or basically how much air pressure is around the car so it can adjust for air intake and that sort of thing. I didn't take it out of the FC, and that's my bad, so I'm missing that sensor. So we're gonna get that sensor, we're gonna get the pulley, and then it should run right. If it doesn't run right, then I'm gonna have to go with a standalone ECU. Not a huge deal, just gonna cost a lot more money and take a lot more time. So fingers crossed that the pulley and pressure sensor work, but since you're watching this in video form, it's coming up next. But it'll probably be like a week later for me. Alright, so it has been another entire day in which I actually didn't film much, but I'm going to go over what we did with the car. First of all, I'm standing in a very smelly garage. And that is because there is transmission fluid all over because the bottle actually burst. I've never had this happen before. The transmission fluid bottle actually exploded on me and all over the floor because we were pushing air into it with a tube that would push the liquid up into the trans to fill the trans. Luckily, we did fill the trans. The transmission is all filled up and everything, but it sprayed everywhere. Another little bit of footage is a couple of friends stopped by, Felix and Garrett and Andy and Nick, and a couple of them took snap stories and stuff. Actually, Felix caught me starting the car, and then I accidentally turned the windshield wipers on, and everything that's just been sitting on the windshield in front of the car whipped over. So I'll show that.
Oh, I'm not. What did you do?
I accidentally hit the windshield. Yeah, that was my bad. But the car idles great. The car idles really smooth. But once we start revving it up, then the timing gets off. So if any experts out there or anyone knows any idea of what's going on with that, once we start revving it up, then the timing gets off. But once I'm not applying any throttle or anything, the timing is perfectly normal. So that's where the car stands. I'm going to cut the video here just because it's been so long since I put out a Rotary Life, and I want to update you guys on what's going on. The engine runs. It has compression. It runs. There's a couple other things that we have to do. The water pump leaks. We did fill up the water pump, and it leaks. So that is something we have to figure out. But other than that, it's got a small water pump leak. It doesn't want to rev up, but the engine runs. Again, it has great compression. That's all I'm really worried about. And this build is getting underway. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you really liked it, and I'll be back with more Rotary Life very, very soon. Take care, guys. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight.